Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is David and today we have for you a return to the Lord of the Rings, a return to Middle Earth. I know, it's long overdue. I'm almost, about 3 weeks behind on updating you because I should have done 2 updates prior to this, and I'm due very soon to do the first update in Return of the King. So I'm going to just quickly talk about all of Book 4 in here, which is the Sam and Frodo chapters with Gollum after departing from the company, the Fellowship of the Ring. If you want great details, please go check out Steve Donahue's channel, check out Tony from an Erudite Adventures channel. They have both done a phenomenal job of carrying the weight, the burden, so to speak. It grew heavy upon me, like the One Ring. It is a simple trinket. It is small. It is of insignificant value, at least seemingly so, but powerful. So I apologize for the extended delay in this and for the abbreviated version I'm going to be doing of this. But I did want to get something done because I've just felt guilt building up inside of me with every day that passed that I did not get around to doing this. So, Sam, Frodo, Gollum. We see very early on some of the wonderful banter between Sam and Frodo, and it's what makes a lot of these chapters really enjoyable. It's just kind of their interactions and hobbits being hobbits, getting to see some of what drives them, some of what maintains them, what interests them. Sam in particular plays a fantastic foil to his master Frodo in here, because Frodo, of course, is wearing down from the burden. He's getting drawn thin. With every step getting closer to Mount Doom, it weighs even stronger upon him. And so we have wonderful banter for Sam forgetting that he had a rope, and then tying the knot and then going down, and then Sam regretting that, it's elvish rope, I hate to leave it here, and gives it one little tug and it all comes down loose. And Frodo joking, to think I just trusted myself completely to that, and you're not. It was not very good, clearly, because that are afraid, and no signs of that. And Sam is convinced, rightfully so, that the rope knew the call of its master. That it knew who had tied that knot and when its work was finished. And so, being elvish rope, magic. And it's just that kind of enjoyable banter that they have. And they encounter Gollum. Gollum tries to sneak up upon them as they are feigning sleep because they know Gollum's coming. And they essentially get Gollum to submit and to lead Frodo to Mordor. That is the extent of the promise. He swears upon the precious, the ring, that he will be the one to guide them to Mordor. And Frodo wisely refuses to show Gollum the ring, because he knows, and he even states, just seeing it, just a glimpse of this, will do things to you that are not going to be good. They're not going to be healthy. You know where it is. That should be enough. You can swear upon this. And Tony makes an excellent point in his video that you see a glimpse of what that would be in the scene in Fellowship of the Ring, where Bilbo catches sight of the ring, and he has that really jump scare kind of moment that if you don't know it's coming, it is going to freak you out, where he just like and it's that wonderful capturing. I hadn't connected the two of those together until Tony had mentioned it, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, of course, that's exactly what that was. That was Peter Jackson taking what Frodo said there to Gollum and putting it into the Fellowship of the Ring in a way that makes sense. It very well could have happened and not made it in the book. And either way, it shows to the viewer the effect that having that ring for so long can have on somebody, and it prepares them for Gollum, who's had it far, 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 far longer than Bilbo ever had. It genuinely corrupts. And so we get a couple of chapters of travel, and they're heading to Mordor, the Black Gate, and they get there. And Gollum realizes now, finally, that what their intent is to go into Mordor. And so Frodo, bucks up his courage. He says, I must go in. If this is the only way, this is the only way I know, then I must go, because that is the test that has been given to me, to go through or die in the try. And Gollum panics over this. And no, don't do this. Don't give it to him. I'll show you another way. And Sam, of course, is suspicious. Why haven't you ever spoken of this? And Gollum says, well, you didn't ask. There's another way. Well, is it guarded? Gollum doesn't want to answer. Is it guarded? Well, all ways into this place are guarded. That escapist answer. The conflict between the Smeagol and the Gollum halves are just done wonderfully. You see the performance that Andy Serkis did in the movies, but they are equally great in the books. And so we get some great chapters with Faramir, where Faramir captures Frodo and Sam, comes upon them as they are fighting battles out there in the wilds, take them back to their secret place, bound and blindfolded. It's death to see the paths that lead into there. While they're there, Faramir wisely discerns everything that's going on through conversation, through foresight. We get told in the book that his line used to have the ability to have that kind of a scrying ability, a way of seeing things that others don't see, that are unseen, so to speak. And that Faramir has it. And that Denethor has it. But that Boromir didn't, even though Denethor loved Boromir more. And so that comes to pay off later. But here, it's shown really, really well that Faramir sees far more than a common person would. And so sitting down and just talking to him reveals so much. And we see this echoed again very early in Return of the King, when one of the hobbits is going to be talking to Denethor. And that hour-long conversation where Gandalf is sitting there huffing and puffing. But I'm getting a video ahead of myself here. We have their capturing of their sighting of Gollum, the capture of Gollum there at the pool, the threat of death, that they try to bind Gollum to lead them not into treachery, that if you return and we find you ever again, Gollum, you will be dead. Essentially what it boils down to. And Gollum is taking it as well as a kicked puppy would. Gollum and wise master, wise people. His sarcastic tone, and these are highlighting the slow regression of the Smeagol half of him, and to where the Gollum is going to eventually triumph, because not only is the treatment of Sam been bad this whole time, and the treatment of Faramir and his men bad, but the betrayal of Frodo that he sees, even though Frodo and the reader know that this is the only way that Gollum is going to live through this encounter. Frodo even tries saying as much. Gollum interprets this as betrayal. Master has betrayed me. And that is almost the last straw that we see of it. But we do see there's one more real turning point as they're climbing up the stairs towards Shelob's lair, where Sam and Frodo have some of their wonderful moments where they're telling each other about the Hobbit children back at home are going to be asking for stories of Frodo and the Ring, and Sam the Stout, and whatnot. And those are some of the best moments along the way. We skipped right over the potatoes part and the stewed rabbit and all of that with Gollum, where Gollum and Sam almost build a small rapport. But up in the stairs leading up to Shelob's lair, Frodo and Sam have these moments of conversation. They both fall asleep. They didn't intend to fall asleep, but they fell asleep. They were close together, and it gives us a glimpse of what the characters don't know, is that Gollum comes back, sees this, and that as he's approaching, to lay his head in their lap, that it looks like almost like a worn down, gray with age hobbit coming to just, coming along. But Sam gets startled out of his sleep by the approach of Gollum and immediately responds with venom. And that is that snapping point, the point of no return for Gollum. That we had the Smeagol before, who had been dominant at some points in time and was slowly starting to regress, and that is what cast it all the way back in. And so inevitably what's going to happen is Gollum leads them up into Shelob's lair, and we have some fantastic chapters there. There is very little action in terms of major events that take place in these 10 chapters that are in book 4 for the Two Towers. This is the point where all that action is taking place, where they are going through these tunnels, and it's, dark and you can't see, and it feels like there's just so much blackness that you can't even see what's in front of you. And they get to there, and they find Shelob, and they hold up the Phial of Galadriel, and it kind of drives her off, but not all the way. And they try to get to the exit, and it's blocked off with, thick webs, and so they're swinging through. Sam's sword does nothing, so Frodo pulls out his blade because it's elvish make, and they're able to cut through. Little do they know, Shelob has come around another way and is waiting, and as they go out, bam, she gets Frodo. And at this point in time, Sam, of course, assumes the worst. He takes up his sword, he takes up the Phial of Galadriel, he fights off Shelob, hitting her with all the fury of a hobbit, which we are shown to be far more than what we ever could have imagined. This really showcases another side of hobbits that we haven't seen to this point. And the wonderful battle that ensues, Sam channeling just all of this energy, this rage for his fallen master, and thanks to Shelob's own foolhardiness, she pierces herself mortally, potentially. We're told that she doesn't come back into the story, that whether she went off to nurse her wounds and regenerate and recover, or simply died, doesn't come into this tale. But she's been vanquished. Sam, of course, weeps over Frodo, comes across the ring there, and is like, I don't know what to do. I want to stay here with you. I feel like my place is here. I should die here with you, because you are my master. I should be here. I can't leave you behind. But here is the task that we have been given. It was given to the Fellowship. You were the primary bearer, but now that you have fallen, there's nobody else here from us. It falls to me to take this on. I don't know which way to go. And ultimately he decides, rightfully, to pick up the ring and to go on. And right as he takes it, he hears orcs and goblins coming, and there's nowhere to hide, so he puts on the ring. And we get to hear a lot of dialogue with these villains that are, a lot of people say that they're just whitewashed. They're cast as just being pure evil villains. And as Tony points out in his video, that's not true at all here. In the movies, maybe. But here we get to see actual full-length dialogue, some conversations, them talking about the Nazgul and the badness of that leadership and the wanting to, when this is all said and done, hey, let's just try to go somewhere else. There's all this land that's going to open up to us after we win. Let's find somewhere where there's no big bosses and be able to get out, away from that and away from them. And, that's wonderful. And so we find out at the very end with Sam that Frodo is not actually dead. And that they fear that there's a great barbarian on the loose that has killed Shelob. And that's where we end with Sam and Frodo, with Sam trying to get back to Frodo. And finding out he's been taken probably to the top of this tower. And there we go. Have a wonderful day, and I will try to get back sooner rather than later for the next one.